This 30 questions of essay 300, if you can read top to bottom, trust me, 10 marks from essay 300, and if we are lucky, we can expect from model test paper, mock test, RTP, never know. Yes or no? So let us give it our 100% for this. Here, like I said, new ones I will be explaining, don't worry. Now, adequate planning benefits the audit of financial statements in several ways. Explain. What are they asking you to explain? Benefits of planning. Adequate planning benefits the audit of financial statements in several ways. Like that you should read. Adequate planning benefits the audit of financial statements. Explain. So, what are the benefits of planning? First, it helps the auditor to devote proper attention to the important areas. Helps the auditor to resolve potential problem on a timely basis. Helps the auditor to organize and manage the audit engagement so that it is performed in an effective and efficient manner. Assisting for the selection of engagement team members. Facilitating for the direction and the supervision of the engagement team members. Assisting where applicable in coordination of the work. Easy, correct? Direct question. Question number 1. Next, going to auditor shall develop an audit plan that includes description of audit procedures. Specify requirements in this regard. Auditor shall develop an audit plan that includes description of audit procedures. Specify the requirements. Essay 300 states that auditor shall develop an audit plan that will have a description of 3 things. Nature, extent, and timing of risk assessment procedure. Nature, extent, and timing of further audit procedures. Other audit procedures which is carried as per standards on auditing. Simple 3 points. If they ask for 3 marks, easily you will get it. But you should know that he is asking this point only. How will you know? They are saying auditor will develop an audit plan. Under this essay 300, there are very few subtopics. Preliminary engagement activities, overall audit strategy, developing an audit plan. Under that only benefits of planning, under that only many other points will be there. Now here they are talking about audit plan. Under audit plan, what are they asking? It includes description of audit procedures. What is the requirements? Now like this, if you are going to read the question, easily you will understand what they are asking. Now under audit plan, the nature, timing and extent of planned risk assessment procedure, nature, timing and extent of planned further audit procedure, other planned audit procedures that are required to be carried out so that the engagement complies with standards on auditing. Now, planning includes consideration of the timing of certain activities and audit procedures that need to be completed prior to the performing of further audit procedures. For example, planning includes the need to consider prior to auditors' identification and assessment of risk of material misstatement and certain matters, discuss those matters. What are they saying? Before you identify and assess the risk of material misstatement and before you do the further audit procedures, you have to do planning. What are you going to plan for? Prior to auditors' identification and assessment of risk of material misstatement, planning includes the need to consider the following matters. In this, all the 30 questions are extremely important. Clear? What are the following matters that you have to see? What are all the analytical procedures to be applied as risk assessment procedures? The last one is again risk assessment procedures. If you remember, I would have told first point, last point. Again, same thing will come. Analytical procedures to be applied as risk assessment procedure. Fifth point, again performance of risk assessment procedure. Now, determination of materiality. Essay 320. Involvement of any experts. Any expert if they are involved, obtaining an understanding of legal and regulatory framework. Basically, before entering into any audit, then you will have to do these 5 points. You will have to see what are the analytical procedures as part of risk assessment procedures, how will you obtain an understanding of the legal and regulatory framework, determination of materiality, involvement of expert, and again performance of risk assessment procedures. What is this? Prior to identification assessment of risk of material misstatement and prior to doing the further audit procedures, planning includes the need to consider these 5 points. Analytical procedures for risk assessment procedure. Last point, again risk assessment procedure. Materiality and experts if they are involved. One is understanding the legal and regulatory. Easy 5 points. Please make note of these 5 points somewhere. Now comes the important one. Ascertain. Now I'll read the question, then I will teach you the entire flow, then you will be able to answer. Ascertaining of reporting objectives of engagement helps the auditor to plan the timing of different audit procedures and also nature of communication. Give 3 instances to explain what? The reporting objectives. Where did we see this terminology reporting objectives? If you remember, there are 5 points which is given. In that, the second or third point is the reporting objective. Identify scope of engagement, ascertain reporting objective, consider the results of preliminary engagement, consider the factors which is directing the engagement team effort. We saw these points. And nature, extent and timing of the resources which is required. Now I am going to tell you under each of the things what are you going to see. Now, for identifying the scope of engagement, what will you see? What is the applicable financial reporting framework that the entity is following? What are the business segments which is there in the entity? What is the industry which is pertaining for that specific entity? If there is any previous auditor which is done, what is the audit evidence which is obtained from the previous auditor? Identifying the scope of engagement, under that these 4 points are there. What is the second one we saw? Ascertaining the reporting requirement. Under ascertaining the reporting requirement, that means you as an auditor, when you're going for audit, you have to report how you have to report. You have to give the timetable as to when you will be reporting what items first itself. Meetings with respect to nature, extent and timing of the audit work with the management. Meeting with the management you will be doing, explaining the nature, extent and timing of the audit work that you will be doing. With the management, you will be saying the type of the report and the timing of the report that you will be giving. Communication with regard to the status of the audit work. Next, nature, extent and timing of all the communication which happens to the engagement team. This is under ascertaining reporting objectives. Reporting objectives means previously itself you are going to agree with the management saying these are the reports that I am going to give to you. What is the timetable for that? That is the first point. Second, with regard to my audit work, what is the nature, extent and timing? I am going to have a meeting again with the management. Third, with the management I will be saying what is the type of report I will be giving and the timing of that report I will be giving. Fourth, the status of that audit work I will be communicating to the management. And last, with the engagement team members also I will be communicating the nature, extent and timing of the audit work which will be given. This is ascertaining reporting objectives. There are 5 points. These 5 points heading you know. First one is identifying the scope of engagement. Second is ascertaining reporting objectives. Third is results of preliminary engagement. What are you going to do with the results of preliminary engagement? You will see if your previous auditor, if he has found any deficiency in the internal control. If he has found any deficiency in the internal control, what is the action that he has taken? Now with that you will be emphasizing to the engagement team member, you will tell them you please have a question in mind. You please have this professional skepticism. Like that you will be emphasizing to the engagement team members of the current based on your preliminary engagement activity. Preliminary engagement activity you will be seeing your previous auditors. Previous auditors specific to internal control, if there is any deficiency, what are the actions which is to be taken. Factors, which is consider the factors directing the engagement team efforts. For that, what will you see? What is the volume of transactions which is there? Is the internal control able to cover all the volume of transactions? What is this? Second point. See and tell whether any change is there in financial reporting framework, whether any change is there in legal and regulatory requirements, industry developments, or any industry developments, if it is there, any changes in the industry in which it is operating, changes in the financial reporting framework, changes in the legal and regulatory requirements. These 4 points are the factors directing the engagement team efforts. What are the 4 points? volume of transactions, whether the internal controls are able to cover, whether any developments are there in the industry, that is changes in the industry, changes in financial reporting framework, changes in legal and regulatory requirements. Results of preliminary engagement activity, only 2 points. First one, you will be considering the previous auditor's engagement. You will be seeing how is the internal control, whether there are any deficiency in the internal control. Then you will emphasize to the engagement team member saying, have a questioning mind, use your professional skepticism. Ascertaining reporting objectives, you will be telling previously itself what is the reporting objective that you will be doing. These 5 extremely important, multiple times they have tested. Is that clear? Again, shall we revise all the 5 and then go back to the question? First one is identifying the scope of engagement. What am I going to identify in that scope of engagement? What is the AFRF of that client? What is the business segment of that client? What is the industry in this the client is operating? Any audit evidence that the previous auditor has obtained, I will be seeing these 4 points is with respect to identifying the scope of engagement. Second is ascertaining the reporting objectives. That means as an auditor, I will have to tell what I will be reporting on. So for that, the timetable that has to be given. Any meeting with regard to the nature, extent and timing of the audit work, the meeting has to be with the management. The third is, again I have to tell the management with the type and the timing of the report. Any communication with respect to the status of the audit work. And last is with the engagement team members, I will be communicating the nature, extent and timing of the audit. Results of preliminary engagement, 2 points. One is previous auditor, internal control, if there is anything, any deficiency is there, then whether any actions have been taken for that deficiency. Then you will be emphasizing to the current engagement team members with regard to the questioning mind and professional skepticism. Factors directing the engagement team efforts, under that 4 points are there. Whether the volume of transaction, whether it has been covered by internal control, whether any changes industries are there, that is industrial development has happened, change in financial reporting framework, change in legal and regulatory. These 5 points extremely important. That's why specifically I have written it down along with the points which is given down. Now, which question were we in? Question number 4. The ascertaining of reporting objectives of engagement helps the auditor to plan timing of different audit procedures and also nature of communication. Give 3 instances to explain. Reporting objectives na sonna, now you will start. The entity's timetable for reporting. Organization of meetings to discuss nature, extent and timing of audit work with the management. Discussion with management regarding the expected type and timing of the report to be issued, including the auditor's report. Discussion with management regarding the expected communications on the status of audit work throughout the engagement. Expected nature and timing of communications among engagement team members, including nature and timing of team meetings and timing of the review of the work to be performed. Here the keyword is they have used reporting objectives. You need to be extremely careful to even spot this question, that this is the one that they are asking. Otherwise you will miss it. You will simply read ascertaining of reporting objectives of engagement helps the auditor to plan timing of different audit procedures and also nature of communications. You will not understand what he is asking itself. Keyword extremely important. Don't worry, by the end of these 30 questions you will be pista in this essay 300. Question number 5. Hello. Question number 5. Who has the mic? Jeevashrimala, read.
The auditor needs to direct efforts of an engagement team towards the matter that in the professional judgment are significant. A preliminary identification of material classes of transaction, account balances and disclosures help the auditor in establishing overall audit strategy. More energies needed to be devoted to significant matters to obtain desired outcome. Give 3 examples to explain the above situation.
What is he asking? Directing the efforts of engagement team towards matter that in his professional judgment are significant. Preliminary identification of material class of transaction, account balance and disclosure. It helps the auditor in establishing the overall audit strategy. More energies is needed to devote it to significant matters to obtain the desired outcome. What is he talking about? Volume of transaction, because under what did the volume of transactions and all come? No. Go back. Go back. No, 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 no. Not satisfied. Where did it come? Consider the factors directing the engagement team efforts. Here, that keyword was there. Engagement team efforts keyword was there. Because that keyword was there, these 4 points would have flown through. Now read the question again, then we'll go to the answer. Question number? Question number 5. The auditor needs to direct the efforts of engagement team. I have highlighted also. But still you are saying some other words. Towards matters that in his professional judgment are significant. Preliminary identification of material class of transaction, account balance and disclosure helps auditor in establishing the overall audit strategy. More energy is needed to be devoted to significant matters to obtain desired outcome. Give 3 examples to explain the above situation. Auditor needs to direct efforts of engagement team towards matter that in his professional judgment are significant. Preliminary identification of material classes of transaction, account balance and disclosure helps auditor in establishing overall audit strategy. More energies need to be devoted. Same question again is written. Few examples are listed as under. Volume of transactions which may determine whether it is more efficient for the auditor to rely on the internal control. Significant industry development such as changes in the industry regulations and new reporting requirements. Significant changes in the financial reporting framework such as changes in accounting standards. Other significant relevant developments such as changes in the legal environment affecting the entity. The keyword here was directing the efforts of engagement team. That was the keyword. Then automatically you should go to these points. Don't worry, I already told you at the end of 30 questions you will get that grip because it will start repeating. When it starts repeating, you yourself will tell the answer. Now, the question number 6.
The engagement partner of a firm of auditors is explaining to his audit team, undergoing a particular training, practical training, the interrelationship between the audit strategy and audit plan. Discuss the points which engagement partner will explain to his team in this regard.
Is there an interrelationship between the audit strategy and audit plan? Yes, definitely. From the audit strategy only, audit plan is flowing and both are completely interrelated. If one changes, the other will definitely change. Relationship between audit strategy and audit plan, which is the broad approach. Audit strategy sets the broad approach. It basically tells the direction, timing and scope of the audit. Audit plan is going to say how this strategy is going to be implemented. If you remember, I asked you the question, what you want to do. I want to clear the inter. That was a strategy. How you are going to do this, how many hours you have, how many minutes you have for each essay, how many minutes you have. That is the audit plan, detailed approach. Audit strategy sets the broad overall approach whereas audit plan addresses various matters identified in the overall audit strategy. Audit strategy determines scope, timing and direction of audit. Audit plan describes how strategy is going to be implemented. Third, audit plan is more detailed than the overall audit strategy that includes the nature, timing and extent of audit procedures to be performed by engagement team members. Planning for these audit procedures takes place over the course of audit as the audit plan for the engagement develops. Fourth, once the overall audit strategy has been established, audit plan can be developed to address the various matters identified in the overall audit strategy, taking into account the need to achieve the audit objectives through the efficient use of auditors' resources. 5. The establishment of the overall audit strategy and detailed audit plan are not necessarily discrete or sequential process. Not necessarily they are sequential, but they are closely interrelated since changes in one may result in consequent changes to the other. Now these 5 points you will have to write. Will you remember all the 5 points? If I give you this question, you will probably write 2 points. Now what is the first one? What is audit strategy? What is audit plan? Second, definition determines the scope, direction and timing of audit. Here It is about how it is being implemented. Third point, what did we see? This is audit plan is more detailed than overall audit strategy because this is going to have nature, extent and timing of the audit procedures to be performed. This is with respect to audit plan you are saying. Fourth, what did you say? Once the overall audit strategy has been established, it flows to an audit plan can be developed to address the various matters. Fifth, what did they say? It is not a discrete or a sequential process, but it is a interrelated process since changes in one may result in consequential changes in the other. Like this, 5 points for all the questions. If possible, make small keywords, only notes, only then you will remember all the points. Once you see what are they asking, they are asking relationship between strategy and plan, so automatically these 5 points, the keywords will come to your mind. Like this you should be writing. Is that clear? Question number 6 done. Going to the 7th one.
EFG Limited has appointed Messrs.
M&N
M&N
Co.
Chartered Accountants as the statutory auditor for the year 24-25. CAN, the engagement partner, completed his risk assessment procedure. However, he is concerned about the management of human resources to be employed to conduct the audit. For this purpose, he wants to establish an overall audit strategy for setting the scope, timing and direction of audit. Describe how the process of establishment of overall audit strategy will assist him in managing deployment of his human resources for various audit areas.
In one small part in study material, this is actually given where they will talk about human resources. How will you manage when you are doing the overall audit strategy? These 4 points are given for that. All 4 points are talking about resources only. Now, the process of establishing the overall audit strategy assists the auditor to determine, subject to the completion of auditor's risk assessment procedures, such matters as the resources to deploy for specific audit areas, such as the use of appropriately experienced team members for high risk areas. That is for which areas which person has to do the work. Second, how many people have to do the work? The amount of the resources. First, who has to do. Second, they are talking about amount of resources to allocate to specific audit areas, such as the number of team members assigned to observe the inventory count at material locations, extent of review of other auditors' work in the case of group audit, or the audit budget in hours to allocate to high risk areas. Third, what are they saying? In the interim audit stage, whether these resources should be deployed, or at key cutoff date, whether these resources should be deployed. When these resources are to be deployed, such as whether at interim audit stage or at key cutoff date. Fourth is how such resources are managed, directed and supervised, such as when team briefing and debriefing meetings are expected to be held. 4 points are there. All 4 points with respect to resources which is going to take care in the overall audit strategy. The first one is the resources to be deployed for specific audit areas. The second is the amount of the resources, that is the number of team members who is going to be there. Third, whether these people are going to be there at the interim audit stage or at key cutoff date. How such resources are managed, directed and supervised, such as when briefing and debriefing happens in the team. 4 points with respect to the keyword here is management of human resources. Overall audit strategy will be there, human resources will be there. So when you are doing the overall audit strategy, how are you going to take care of the human resources? I will know who has to be deployed, how many people have to be deployed, when do they have to be deployed. These 3 questions are 3 points. When is only interim audit stage or key cutoff procedure. How many is only amount of resources. Who is the resources to deploy for specific audit. How such resources are managed, directed and supervised, such as when team briefing and debriefing meetings are expected to be held. These 4 points if you write, 4 marks you will definitely get. Now first one you saw, I showed you for all the 5 points, under that what is there. Now you are reading a new one, overall audit strategy with respect to human resources. That is the key word which is going to be there in the question. Management of human resources which is to be employed to conduct the audit. For this purpose he wants to establish a overall audit strategy. If these 2 words are there, these 4 points have to automatically flow through. Shall we go to the next question?
Mrs. PP and Co., a firm of chartered accountants, has been auditing the books of accounts of Kali Limited for the past 3 years. The company has recently made some major changes in its business policies. While planning to start the audit for the fourth year, that is for financial year 24-25, the audit manager of the firm, as per the routine practice, handed over the previous year's audit program as it is to the audit team with the instructions to adhere unfailingly to the said audit program. Evaluate the decision of the audit manager with reference to the use of audit program.
What are they saying? There is some change, some major change in the business policy has happened, and last 3 years they have a specific audit program. I hope you remember what audit program is. It is a set of detailed instructions which will be given to people, and they just have to put the tick, a series of verification procedures. Now this audit program, he did not bother changing it. He said last 3 years I had this audit program, now this year, fourth year also, I'm going to continue with the same audit program. Evaluate the decision whether it is correct or not. Is that correct? No audit program, there has to be changes to it, especially if there is a major change in business policy. Review of audit program. There should be periodic review of the audit program to assess whether the same continues to be adequate for obtaining the requisite knowledge and evidence about the transactions. Unless this is done, any change in the business policy of the client may not be adequately known, and consequently audit work may be carried on the basis of obsolete program, that means waste program, old program. And for this negligence, the whole audit may be held as negligently conducted, and the auditor may have to face legal consequences because he is not factoring the change in the business policy. The utility of the audit program can be retained and enhanced only by keeping the program as also the client's operations and internal control under periodic review, so that inadequacy or redundancy of the program may be removed. Audit program not only lists the tasks to be carried out, but also contains a few relevant instructions like the extent of checking, sampling plan, etc. So long as the program is not officially changed by the principal, every assistant deputed on the job should unfailingly carry out the detailed work according to the instructions governing the work. Many persons believe that this brings an element of rigidity in the audit program. This is not true, provided the periodic review is undertaken to keep the program as up to date as possible, and by encouraging the assistants on the job to observe all salient features of the various accounting functions of the client. In the given situation, now these questions, if you see, little difficult to score because they have not given point by point. They have given it as a paragraph. So keywords are extremely important. Definitely you have to write audit program. There should be a periodic review. If it is not done, then it will become a obsolete program. Utility of the audit program can be retained and enhanced only if periodic review happens, so that inadequacy or redundancy of the program may be removed. Audit program not only gives the tasks to be carried out, not only a series of verification procedure, but also extent of checking, sampling plan, all of this is there. So for this to not be rigid, there needs to be a periodic review to undertake the program as up to date as possible, so that it will encourage the assistants on the job to observe all the salient features of various accounting functions of the client. Now coming to the facts and conclusion. In the given situation, Messrs. PP and Company, a firm of chartered accountants, has been auditing for the past 3 years, and the company has recently made major changes in this business policy. Therefore, it is very essential to review the audit program. Thus, contention of audit manager to adhere with the instructions of following the same audit program as per routine practice is not correct. How are you going to remember the points? Same way, you will be writing the keywords. What is 1, what is 2, what is 3, what is 4, what is 5, and what is 6. 6 points will come here. Write the keywords on your own for this. Periodic review, obsolete program, inadequacy or redundancy of the program may be removed. Not only a series of verification procedures, but also extent of checking and sampling plan will be given. The element of rigidity in the audit plan, many persons will believe that this will bring, and periodic review is undertaken for so that it will encourage the assistance on the job. Like this 6 points, keywords you will have to write. Is that clear? Only then you can get not full marks, at least or half a mark less penny they will give, because you have given us point. If they see, they will think, oh, so much is there, you have written only 6 points. But even if all points are there, they will not give the full marks for questions like this specifically. Question number 9. Somebody read big question.
Subodh has recently joined an audit firm as an article clerk. He was in process of assembling audit working papers in audit file of Corp Limited as per the instructions of his senior. While assembling, he noticed following working paper in audit file. Timing of audit activities. Activity. Audit planning. Expected timing July 1, 23 to July 5, 23. Activity review by EQCR. Expected timing July 6, 23 to July 7, 23. Activity.
Leave that activity and expected timing. Just read it. Audit field work.
Audit field work July 10, 23 to August 20, 23. Review by manager August 21, 23. Review by engagement partner August 22 to August 25. Review by EQCR August 26 to August 27. Response on audit memo August 28. Review by partners internally post response audit memo August 29. Review by EQCR August 30. Finalization of audit report and financial statements September 1 to September 2. Issuance of audit report and financial statements September 3. The above working paper lists certain factors which are considered by the auditor while establishing overall audit strategy. Explain how these considerations highlighted in above working paper could have helped the auditor.
Everything is perfect. When you see this, each and every time some work is happening, review by EQCR is there. Yes, it is a listed company, you can see that way itself. Everything is so perfect. But what are they asking? Explain how these considerations highlighted in above working paper could have helped the auditor. What are the points that he is actually asking is entities, timetable for reporting, nature, extent and timing of the audit work with the management. Under what did we see that? Ascertaining the reporting objectives. Here, is there anything which is talking about ascertaining reporting objectives? No. Then why are they giving this answer for that? Subodh has recently joined an audit firm as an article clerk. He was in process of assembling audit work papers in audit file as per the instructions. While assembling, he noticed the following work paper. Timing of audit activities. All the timing is perfectly done. Planning is done. EQCR audit fieldwork review. Again engagement partner EQCR. Response to audit memo review by partners. Again EQCR. Finalization of audit report. Issuance of audit report. The above working paper lists certain factors which are considered by the auditor while establishing audit strategy. Explain how these considerations highlighted in above working paper could have helped the auditor. Now read the answer. The auditor shall establish an overall audit strategy that sets the scope, timing and direction of the audit and that guides the development of audit plan. One of the factors to be taken into consideration while establishing audit strategy relating to the ascertaining of reporting objectives of engagement to plan the timing of the audit and nature of communications required. Some of the instances are given under all these instances. In the given case, working paper highlights that auditor has taken into account expected timelines to plan the audit and the nature of the communications required. Since the working papers relates to the statutory audit of the company, the ascertaining of the reporting objectives of engagement helps the auditor to plan timing of different audit procedures and also nature of communications. Basically, they are giving you the way they have communicated to each of the people. They are communicating to EQCR, they are communicating to the engagement team members, then in the end they are issuing the audit report and they are communicating. Where did we see that? In the Reporting objectives, that is only the clue itself. They have not given specifically the terminology reporting objective anywhere in the question. You are supposed to identify that they have reported everything perfectly, that the timelines that they have followed is perfectly. So they are talking about reporting objectives here. The auditor shall establish an overall audit strategy that sets the scope, timing, and direction of the audit, and that guides the development of audit plan. One of the factors to be taken into consideration while establishing audit strategy relates to ascertaining of reporting objectives of engagement plan to plan the timing of the audit and nature of communications required. Some of the instances are entities timetable for reporting, organization of meeting to discuss the nature, extent and timing of audit work with management, discussion with management regarding expected type and timing of the report, discussion with management regarding the expected communications on the status of the audit work, expected nature and timing of the communication among the engagement team members. Now, very different question. Please mark it. Please mark it. Very, very different question. Maybe if they ask this question, 3 out of 100 people will write the answer. And you all will write. And definitely you all will. Yes. Definitely once you see this big, everyone will get scared. You all will become happy. Yes or no? Super question. Very nice. I will tell all the reporting objectives. Like that you will start writing. All the? Yes. All online students also will write. They should watch it, correct? They should watch it properly. That is the difficulty in online. You will see 5 questions, you will get bored. And you will think, okay, next chapter, poitu varla. You might think like that. But I say 300, very, very important. Fully you have to see. That's why I told you, 10 marks. If they decide the entire 10 marks has to come from model test paper or RTP or MTP or previous exam paper, you are going to get the entire 10 marks. Yes or no? Sanjana is of the view that there exist some disadvantages in the use of audit programs, but most of these can be removed by following some concrete steps. Do you agree with her perspective? Comment. Yes, there are disadvantages in the audit program. The work will become mechanical. Some people can start doing without understanding. Inefficient people will take shelter behind the audit program. Then audit program means it is rigid and it is inflexible. Even if business a hard and fast audit program may kill the initiative of efficient and enterprising assistance. All these disadvantages may be eliminated by imaginative supervision of the work carried on by the assistants. The auditor must have a receptive attitude as regards the assistant. The assistant should be encouraged to observe matters objectively and bring significant matters to the notice of supervisor or principal. This part you will leave off. Disadvantages. Yes, I know the answer. All 4 disadvantages you will write. What are they asking? Most of these can be removed by following concrete steps. Can it be? Do you agree that it can be removed? They are asking. You will not see that. What you will see, disadvantages. 4 points I already know. You will start writing. Read the question properly. Can it be removed? Yes, it can be eliminated by imaginative supervision of the work which is carried on by the assistant. Auditor must have a receptive attitude as regards the assistant. Assistant should be encouraged to observe the matters objectively and bring the significant matter. Inge 4 questions are there. Here itself 4 points are there if you see. Eliminated by imaginative supervision. Second one, the auditor must have a receptive attitude. Third, assistant should be encouraged to observe the matters objectively and significant matters to notice. 3 points are here itself. You will leave out these 3 points. Then you will be like, ma'am, I wrote all the 4 points, ma'am, disadvantages they asked, everything I wrote. Then mark is not coming now. This is only the reason. Because question they are asking something else. Answer you will not even answer fully. You will answer what you know. Next is question number 11. CAD is planning an audit of a listed company. Read. Small question.
CAD is planning an audit of a listed company. List specific documentation requirements in accordance with Standards on Auditing 300 in relation to planning such an audit. How such planning documentation is useful?
Should you do documentation of the planning? Yes, you will be documenting the overall audit strategy, you will be documenting the audit plan, and you will be documenting nature, timing, and extent of further audit procedures. All of those things you will be documenting. The documentation of the overall audit strategy is a record of key decisions considered necessary to properly plan the audit and to communicate significant matters to the engagement team. The documentation of the audit plan is a record of planned nature, timing, and extent of risk assessment procedure and further audit procedures at the assertion level in response to the assessed risk. It also serves as a record for proper planning of audit procedures that can be reviewed and approved prior to their performance. The auditor may use standard audit program or audit completion checklist tailored as needed to reflect the particular audit engagement circumstances. A record of significant changes to the overall audit strategy and audit plan and resulting changes to the planned nature, timing, and extent of audit procedures explains why the significant changes were made and the overall audit strategy and audit plan finally adopted for the audit. Actually, what and all will you be documenting? Three things: overall audit strategy, audit plan, and any significant changes to the overall audit strategy and audit plan. Now they are also explaining how is it important to document. The first point they are saying, the documentation of the overall audit strategy is what? It is a record of key decisions considered necessary to properly plan the audit and to communicate the significant matters to the engagement team. Second, what you will be documenting? The audit plan. The documentation of the audit plan is a record of the planned nature, timing, extent of risk assessment procedure and further audit procedure at the assertion level in response to assessed risk. Next, they are talking about the reason. Why is it important? It also serves as record of proper planning that can be reviewed and approved prior to the performance. The auditor may use audit programs. Third, what will you be documenting? Significant changes, which is to the overall audit strategy and audit plan, and resulting changes to the planned nature, extent, and timing of audit procedures, explaining why the significant changes were made and to the overall audit strategy and audit plan. What you will write, I will tell you, you will be writing overall audit strategy has to be documented, audit plan has to be documented, and changes to 1 and 2 above. Like this, if you write only the keywords, you have to write it as a sentence. The same thing only they have written here. The 3 points are written here. But how they have written here? Overall audit strategy, when you are writing, what is that overall audit strategy? It is a record of key decisions considered necessary to properly plan all the significant matters to the engagement team. Second, what is the audit plan? It is a record of plan, nature, extent, and timing of all the audit procedures. Third, significant changes to overall audit strategy and audit plan and resulting changes to the planned nature, extent, and timing of the risk assessment procedures and further audit procedure. All of those things like this as a sentence you must be writing. Question number 11 done. Going to question number 12. Messrs.
TP and Co., a firm of chartered accountants, has been conducting audit of KSR Limited since last 4 years. KSR Limited has diversified their business into newer areas during the last year. The senior member of the audit team handed over the standard audit program of earlier years to the audit assistants and instructed them to follow the same. The assistants are conducting the audit accordingly. Where the attitude of the audit assistants is justified, guide them.
Whether the attitude of the audit assistant is justified. What are they asking? They are asking, a firm has been conducting audit for the last 4 years. This company has diversified into newer areas. Senior member of audit team handed over the standard audit program and instructed them. The assistants are conducting the audit accordingly. Whether attitude of audit assistants are justified. Is that correct? Can they use the same audit program? No. Why? Because if an audit program, we already saw one, correct? There is a change in the business policy and audit program is not changed. What should you answer given here is wrong. Don't see this answer and get confused. Question is correct, answer is wrong. Now this answer is the same thing which we saw previously, where there is a Change in the business policy and audit program, there is no change. Is that correct? They asked the same question here also. They are saying last 4 years I was doing, they have diversified into newer areas. Senior member of the audit team is handing over the audit program of earlier years. Assistants are conducting that with the same audit program. Whether the attitude of assistant is justified. Same question. The next one, Lotus Limited.
Lotus Limited, a rapidly growing manufacturing company, appointed Riddhi & Co. as statutory auditor. The engagement team of Riddhi & Co. identified key areas requiring scrutiny such as revenue recognition, inventory valuation and related party transactions. Based on his professional judgment, CA Ravi, the engagement partner, directed the engagement team to focus on these critical areas, emphasizing the need for detailed testing to ensure accuracy and compliance. Give some examples of the factors need to be considered by CA Ravi for establishing overall audit strategy.
For establishing overall audit strategy, what are the factors that needs to be considered? Examples of the factors that needs to be considered by CA Ravi for establishing the overall audit strategy. What is the volume of transactions which may determine whether it is more efficient for auditor to rely on internal control? Significant industry developments such as changes in the industry regulations and new reporting requirements. Significant changes in financial reporting framework. Changes in legal environment. Where did we see this? Changes in industry, changes in financial reporting framework, changes in legal environment. Where did we see this? Directing the engagement team efforts. Is that there in the question? Yes. Rapidly growing manufacturing company appointed Riddhi as statutory auditor. The engagement team identified key areas requiring scrutiny such as revenue recognition, inventory valuation, related party. Based on his professional judgment, CA Ravi, the engagement partner, directed the engagement team to focus on the critical areas, emphasizing the need for detailed testing. They have given the keyword directing the engagement team efforts. Example of the factors are volume of transactions which may determine whether it is more efficient for the auditor to rely on the internal control. Significant industry developments such as changes in the industry, changes in the financial reporting framework, significant relevant developments such as changes in legal environment. Now you see, whenever this question is coming, they are using the keyword of that subpoint. You have to be extremely careful. In this question, usually, normally if you see this question, you know where your mind will go. Scrutiny such as revenue recognition, inventory valuation, related party also they are talking. SA 550, SA 501, CARO reporting, அப்படின்னு சொல்லி you will be breaking your head. At that time, you need to understand what exactly are they asking in the question. Okay, they are giving all this data. Based on the professional judgment, CA Ravi, the engagement partner, directed the engagement team to focus on these three areas: revenue recognition, inventory and related party, emphasizing the need for detailed testing to ensure accuracy and compliance. Give some examples of the factors which needs to be considered by CA Ravi for establishing the audit strategy. Once you see establishment of audit strategy, you will jump to SA 300. Now under SA 300, you will have to see which pointer for that. Now you will see directing the engagement team to focus on the critical areas. Now those 5 points, multiple times they have tested. You have to be extremely careful. Yes or no? So if some question comes, if you are little doubtful whether this is SA 300, first see if any of those 5 keywords are coming. Identifying the scope of the engagement, ascertaining reporting objectives and the keyword whether it is there. Third one, directing the engagement team effort. Fourth one, preliminary engagement. Preliminary engagement activity they cannot twist because automatically once they say preliminary engagement, you will come off to SA 300. No twisting. Mainly in this reporting requirement and directing the engagement team effort. Identifying scope also they can twist. Identifying scope also they can twist. These 3 keywords you will have to put it in your mind. Now, question number 14. Read.
Audit program is a list of examination and verification steps to be applied and set out in such a way that the interrelationship of one step to another is clearly shown and designed, keeping in view the assertions apparent in the statements of accounts produced for audit or based on an appraisal of the accounting records of the client. For example, while auditing a company's inventory, the program may include steps to verify physical stock counts, ownership rights, and valuation. What are the advantages of audit program?
After telling all these stories, direct question. What are the advantages of audit program? You already know this. It gives a clear set of instructions for the work to be done. It is essential for major audits to provide total perspective of work, selection of assistant for the job, where it can be rationally planned, defined and segregated. Without a written and predetermined program, work will be carried as a mental plan. In such a situation, there is a risk of ignoring or overlooking any important books and records. An assistant, by putting their signature, shows that they are accepting the responsibility. Principal can control the progress of various audits in hand by examination of audit program. It serves as a guide for audits to be carried out in succeeding year. Properly drawn up audit program serves as a evidence in the event of any charge of negligence. Advantages of audit program. If they give the question like this, no problem. Very easy to write. Most of the times, whenever they ask the examples, give some examples, that is the time there are twisting. Have you noticed that? Whenever they are asking the examples of the factors need to be considered by CA Ravi for establishing the audit strategy, enna example kodukano, we will be thinking like that. So whenever they are asking this example, you see if there is any keyword which is there. That is a good way to remember. Yes. Now next question. Question number 15.
In establishing the overall audit strategy, the auditor shall, among other considerations, ascertain the nature, timing, and extent of resources necessary to perform the engagement. Explain the considerations in detail.
Explain the considerations in detail. Maybe he is given only for 3 marks. That's why they have given only the side headings. Now all the 5 we studied, those 5 side headings are here. Identify the characteristics of engagement that define its scope of the engagement. Ascertaining the reporting objectives for the engagement to plan the timing of the audit. Consider the factors that an auditor's professional judgment are significant in directing the engagement team efforts. Considering the results of preliminary engagement activity. Ascertain the nature, extent and timing of resources which is necessary to perform the audit. Under this point, we saw multiple points. Under reporting objectives, we saw multiple points. Under directing engagement team effort, we saw multiple points. Under the fourth one also, we saw multiple points. Yes, now what's the question? For the overall audit strategy. Yes. Nature, extent and timing of resources that is necessary for performing the engagement. Here I wrote, correct? All the 5. Here also. Under that, what is the point? There is no points under that. What are the points which is given under that? There is a paragraph. There are no pointers like how they can ask here 4 points, 5 points, 4 points. It is not given like that. For resources required for the 5th one, there is a small para which is given, which is explaining. Which question were we in? Now directly they have just given the side headings for the considerations in establishing the overall audit strategy. Next one, going to question number 16.
Engagement partner of a firm of auditors is explaining to his audit team, undergoing practical training, the interrelationship between audit strategy and audit plan. Discuss the points which the engagement partner will explain to his team in this regard.
How will the engagement partner explain what is the relationship between audit strategy and audit plan? Did we already see it? Yes, this is broad, this is narrow, scope, timing and direction. That one, how it is going to be implemented, more detailed. Here planning involves all the audit procedures takes place. Discrete or sequential process, kadayadu. It is a interlinked process. Question number 17.
APR and Associates, a chartered accountant firm, are appointed as the auditors of Time Limited and Bakes Limited. The volume and nature of business of both the companies are entirely different. CAR is the engagement partner for Bakes Limited and CAP is the engagement partner for Time Limited. CAR formulates an audit program for conducting the audit of Bakes Limited. He suggests CAP to use the same audit program for Time Limited. But CAP is of the opinion that his audit program will not be useful for the audit of Time Limited. In light of the above, mention the matters that should generally be considered while preparing an audit program. Is CAP correct in emphasizing for a different audit program for Time Limited?
Can there be a same audit program for different kinds of companies? There has to be different audit programs. So is CAP correct? Yes, CAP is correct because he's emphasizing for a different audit program for Time Limited. CAP, don't simply say he's wrong always. Sometimes they'll be correct also in question. Following matters should be considered generally while preparing an audit program. What are the matters for audit program? Stay within the scope and limitation of the assignment. Prepare a written audit program. Determine the evidence reasonably available and identify the best evidence for deriving the necessary satisfaction. Apply only those steps and procedures which are useful in accomplishing the verification purpose. Include the audit objectives for each area and sufficient details which serve as set of instructions. Consider all possibilities of error. Coordinate the procedures to be applied. Evolving one audit program is not practicable for all businesses. Businesses vary in nature, size and composition. Work which is suitable to one business may not be suitable to others. Efficiency and operation of internal control and the exact nature of the service to be rendered by the auditor are the other factors that vary from assignment to assignment. On account of such variation, evolving one audit program applicable to all businesses not practicable. In view of the above, CAP is correct. Now, directly you cannot go to evolving one audit program not practicable for all the business. Before that, you will have to talk about what are the matters which is generally considered while doing the audit program. Within the scope it has to be. It has to be a written audit program. Evidence must be there. Include the audit objectives for each of the area. Consider all the possibility of error. Coordinate the procedures. Like this, you first write all the 7 points and then you go to evolving one audit program. It is not practicable for all the businesses. Is that clear? Now going to question number 18.
B Limited is a company manufacturing bed sheets and pillow covers. They have appointed
pillow covers.
They have appointed Messrs. C and Co. Chartered Accountants as their auditors. The auditor is establishing audit strategy with his team members. As the work progressed, they came to know that the company has diversified its business and now they are also planning to manufacture wooden furniture. The auditor, in his professional judgment, considered this to be a significant factor in directing the engagement team's efforts. Give examples of factors that, in auditor's professional judgment, are significant in directing the engagement team's effort.
Again, examples are given. Keyword, directing the engagement team efforts is given. Now I told you by the end of 30, you will get the confidence that you will start recognizing the keywords. Yes or no? Under directing the engagement team efforts, what are the points? Volume of transactions, whether you can rely on the internal control, significant industry development such as industry regulations changing or new reporting requirements, changes in the financial reporting framework if it is there. Fourth, changes in legal and regulatory requirements, legal environment affecting the entity. All these 4 points now you will write easily. Yes or no? Question number 19.
CAE is auditor of LM Limited before commencing with current year's audit. He initiated planning for the audit. Planning includes the need to consider certain matters prior to the identification and assessment of risk of material misstatements. Enumerate such matters.
What is this? What are they asking? They are asking the matters prior to the identification and assessment of risk of material misstatement. What are the matters that you will be considering as part of your planning process? What are the 5 points? Are we seeing this for the first time? Already we have seen this, analytical procedures to be applied as part of risk assessment procedure. Fifth point again, risk assessment procedure, materiality, experts and legal and regulatory framework. Now, the point which you have to note in the question is, now you know the answers. You need to know for which question you will have to write which answer. Now, in this question, planning includes the need to consider certain matters prior to identification assessment of risk of mental misstatement. In the previous question also it was prior to further audit procedures, prior to identification and assessment of risk of mental misstatement. That was there, and planning also was there. Here also planning is there. Prior to identification and assessment of risk of mental misstatement is there. So obviously nature of audit planning, continuous and iterative process, such matters as these 5 points you will be writing. Question number 20. Please read.
Preliminary engagement activities include certain activities to be performed by an auditor while planning an audit. Discuss such activities briefly. How performing such activities assists an auditor.
Now they are going to preliminary engagement activities. There are 3 activities as part of preliminary engagement activity. First one is whether you have to continue the client, acceptance and continuance of client. Second, compliance with ethical requirements. And third is establishing an understanding of the terms of engagement. Those 3 points are given. Preliminary engagement activities include the following activities. These 3 points directly. Preliminary engagement activities assist the auditor in identifying and evaluating events or circumstances that may affect auditor's ability to plan and perform the audit engagement. You have to conclude by writing that last sentence also. Question number 21.
The assistant of CAK is assigned responsibility of drafting audit program relating to purchases appearing in financial statements of Broad Industries, a partnership firm. The said firm is a GST registered taxpayer and is engaged in the manufacturing of packing boxes from a special type of paper taxable under GST. Help him by drafting a sample audit program for purchases.
Beautiful question this is. RTP May 24. Beautiful question. I'll tell you why this is beautiful. See here. They are asking you to draft a sample audit program specifically for purchases. They are combining SA 300 audit program with items of FS purchases. Now you have to know the questions which you have to ask for purchases also, and you have to know the format. You already know the format. You will start off with name of the concern. Here name of the concern is given. Yes. Broad industry is given. Financial year, is it given? You will simply write prepared by, reviewed by, approved by. You already know the audit program, how you have to do. Serial number, nature of audit procedure, extent of check, basis of sample, done by. This also you will know. Now for purchases, what is the audit program? For purchases, they are also giving some information that it is a GST registered taxpayer. Their paper is taxable under GST. They are giving some information. Purchases, GST. 2 information is there. With that, what are the audit procedures that you can think of? Be very careful here. Read here, excuse me. Vouch few purchase invoices of paper from purchase records of concern. Trace these invoices into accounts book of the concern. Verify few purchase invoice of paper on the GST portal. Trace few purchase invoice of paper in stock record. Ensure that these have been added to the stock of raw material. They have taken GST few points. Purchases few points. They are talking about audit procedures also here. Once you see this question, what you will say? Help him draft a sample audit program. I know what is the format of sample audit program. Our audit program, it will be empty because it was a sample audit program. You will not see for purchases that he has given here specifically. You need to specifically say for purchases what are the things that you will be asking. If you don't remember anything, logically whatever you can think of, go ahead and just write 6 points also you can write for purchases. Yes or no? GST is there, purchase is there, so many points you can write. Any 6 points, logically whatever comes to your head, just go ahead. Question number 22.
CAN, engagement partner of LPS and Associates, is planning for audit of a large company. As part of preliminary engagement activities being performed in this regard, he wants to ensure that compliance with independence requirement is adhered. How shall he form a conclusion that audit firm complies with independence requirements?
How will he form a conclusion that audit firm complies with independence requirement? Independence means what? You will have to see. The engagement partner, CAN, shall form a conclusion on compliance with independence requirements that apply to the audit engagement. In doing so, CAN shall obtain relevant information from the firm to identify and evaluate circumstances and relationships that create threats to independence. Evaluate information on identified breaches, if any, of the firm's independence policies and procedures to determine whether they create a threat to independence for the audit engagement, and take appropriate action to eliminate such threat or reduce them to an acceptable level by applying safeguards, or if considered appropriate, withdraw from the engagement where withdrawal is permitted by law or regulation. Where did we see all of this? In ethics chapter, we saw this. How will he see? He will take appropriate action if he is not independent. He will either reduce it to an acceptable level or he will withdraw from that engagement itself. From the ethics chapter we saw. But because here as part of preliminary engagement activities, you might think that this is SA 300. And you'll start thinking, enna preliminary engagement activities kila enna 3 points are there. What the 3 points? The second point is ethics. So under that, what are they trying to say? Like that you will start thinking. But clearly they are asking how shall he form a conclusion that audit firm complies with independence requirements. So automatically you will have to go to ethics chapter. The same question we saw there. The same question you saw there. That time you knew it was an ethics chapter, so it was not a problem. Here you are thinking it is SA 300 because engagement activity, preliminary engagement activities is given. Purposely I gave this question here also. Next one, question number 23.
During the audit of ABC Limited, a medium-sized manufacturing company, the engagement partner is responsible for directing and supervising the work of the engagement team. The team includes both experienced members and several new trainees. Additionally, certain areas of the audit have been identified as high risk, such as revenue recognition and inventory valuation, due to recent changes in ABC Limited's accounting policies. What factors should the engagement team members consider when determining the nature, timing, and extent of direction, supervision, and review of the engagement team's work?
Direct question. They are asking nature, extent and timing for the direction, supervision, review of engagement team's work, size and complexity of the entity, area of the audit, assess the risk of material misstatement, capabilities and competence of individual team members. Direct, easy question. ATL Private Limited. What happened? Mike, where is the mic? Okay. Became tired so fast. Okay.
ATL Private Limited, a leading manufacturing company, appointed CA Atul as an auditor for the year 23-24. Given the complexity of the company's operation and the need for systematic approach, he planned to design a detailed audit program to ensure the accuracy of the financial assessment. As a CA student, if you were assisting the CA Atul in constructing the audit program, what are the points you will keep in the mind?
For constructing an audit program, what are the points that you will have to keep in mind? Stay within the scope and limitation. Did we already see? Prepare a written audit program. Determine the evidence reasonably available and identify the best evidence. Apply only those steps which are useful in accomplishing the verification procedure. Include the audit objectives for each area and sufficient details. Consider all possibilities of error. Coordinate the procedures to be. And last one more. Single audit program not applicable for all types of businesses. They have missed that point. You will add that. Next question. APR and Associates.
APR and Associates, a chartered accountant firm, are appointed as the auditors of the Time Limited.
Repeat question. They are asking, is CAP correct in emphasizing for a different audit program for Time Limited? Yes, he is correct. You will have to tell this time. Same question. Those 7 points. Evolving one audit program, not practical. I told you one extra point is there. Then CAP is correct. Correct. Now, if any CAP comes in exam, he'll be extra careful. Oh, correct or incorrect? I have to see properly. B Limited is a company.
B Limited.
This also we saw. Previous year paper, May 2024. 3 marks they asked this paper. Bed sheets and pillow cover. Give examples of factors that in auditor's professional judgment are oh, so they will not ask this again. Directing the engagement team members. They will not. May 24 means how many attempts gone? 3 attempts gone means they can ask. 3 attempts gone means there is a possibility. So they can ask. But very less chances like this. They will ask new questions, new problems. Next one, CAE.
CAE is the auditor of.
What you saw? You didn't see LM Limited before commencing planning for audit, planning. Yes, all those 5 points. Analytical procedures, risk assessment, 5th point. Again, risk assessment, materiality, any expert and legal. Okay. Question number 28. Relationship between audit. You all, now I told you at the end of 30 questions, you are going to feel like I know all of SA 300. Already saw. EFG Limited. We saw this also. Read the question.
EFG Limited has appointed Mrs. NM and Co., a chartered accountant, as the statutory auditor for the year 24-25. A CAN, the engagement partner, completed his risk assessment procedure. However, he is concerned about the management of human resource to be employed to the content of the audit.
Human resources we saw. Is audit strategy there? Overall audit strategy is there. HR is there. Then what are the points that you should remember? All our resources. First one is who will be deployed, how many people will be deployed, where will be deployed. Where na? Whether at a cut-off date or at key cut-off date or interim audit stage. Those two keywords you should use. Then how such resources are managed, directed and supervised. Briefing and debriefing, that point also is. All of you are pros now. Now question number 30.
Mrs. P.
Last
Co.,
one.
a firm of chartered accountant, has been auditing the books of accounts of Kali Limited.
Kali Limited we saw. Again, September 24 question, periodic review of audit program. Oh, this paragraph question. Thank God. They already asked this paragraph question in September 24 itself. Definitely they will not ask for you. So, till now, what and all did we see? These 5 points, extremely important. Extremely important. Reporting objectives, they did not ask previous exam. Identify scope of engagement, they did not ask. What they asked? Directing engagement team effort is the one they asked, correct? Which one they asked? In the previous exam paper, there was one thing which they asked out of these 5. I told you this 5 is extremely important from the beginning. Directing engagement team effort, May 24 they have asked. Yeah. Yeah, May 24 they have asked. 3 attempts back they have asked. So this is asked. These 3, lot of chances they will ask. Why to leave this also? You study this also and keep. Why to leave? These 5, I am telling you in essay 300, out of these 5, one will definitely come. 4 or 5 marks, it should come. Audit program, I don't know. I don't know whether it will come. Audit program for purchases like that you want, huh? Advantages is like that directly nowadays they are not asking. Very rarely they will ask. These 5 I am expecting at least one, especially in the first 3. That's why when I started off with essay 300 itself, I started off by explaining what are the points under each of these things, or that HR overall audit strategy. That one they asked or they did not ask? HR overall audit strategy. Previous exam paper we saw that one also, it was there. HR, human resources, you all told the answer also. Last question. No. 7th. Here 29th question. This is also asked. September 24 they have asked. So they won't ask again. Definitely you see in the first 3, I have a feeling it will come. This is essay 300, guys. I hope you got some confidence after doing 30 questions from essay 300. Now, important one. I want you all to get this 10 marks clearly. Whatever we have done for today, we have done for about 25 marks. 25 marks because 20 plus essay 230 also we have added 230. Definitely 4 or 5 marks will come. So, approximately 25 marks we have done today. Correct? Now, I want you to go home and not study. I want you to write. Write and practice. Now you've seen the question, we saw the answer, you should know the answer. Correct? Now I want you to write the answer and practice. At least for these 30 questions, there are so many repetitions, hardly 15 to 20 questions you are going to write today itself. Go home and write. I'm leaving you early today. That's the reason why I'm leaving you early. Because I want you to go home and write the answers. Please go home and write today itself all the 20 questions here in essay 300. If possible, 230. SQC1 and essay 220. If it's possible, you write Caro, yes, you can practice writing. Pick any 4 or 5 questions in Caro and you can write. Or there is one question which we marked. Correct? Different question. And the different question mattu you practice that writing. Because in case they ask, you will be the one who's getting the marks. Is that clear, guys? Workout is extremely important. As much as concept is important, workout is important. If you ask me, how much time you are dedicating for understanding the concept, double the amount of time you must dedicate for workout. It's okay even if concept timing is reduced, because conceptual understanding you will anyway get once you attend the class. Yes or no? So now is the time to dedicate for workout. Now you understood what is the answer. But for you to get that practice, you will have to write on your own. Then only you will get that practice. Otherwise, it will go above and beyond your head. So yes, with this we will close for today. See you all tomorrow for the other standards, guys.